You always have a close to you. I love theme music. There's always some playing in my head. It's rarely what we have playing over there by Andy, but it's there. Good morning, Simi Valley. How are you all today? Wonderful. Happy Father's Day. It's really a pleasure to be here with you, and certainly to be here following your three candidates. What exciting time you have in front of you, right? I've watched two of them online, and they've done a great job, and you have a really exceptional triad to choose from. So it's my honor to be here once again with you today on this wonderful day called Father's Day. I want to take a moment and let's honor fathers. If there are any fathers in the room, please stand. Let's send them some love. Stay standing, please. And if any of you are on this planet today because you're the result of the activity of someone named a father, please stand. Stand, Andy.
Are you sure you weren't hatched?
So there's people in here that came differently. There was no seed planted. I want to attend your workshop this afternoon. So today I want to take a look at, oh, they've already moved on. I want to take a look, I'm controlling, right? Are you controlling? Can I control? It's not working. I don't know how you turn it on.
Give him control.
Dun, 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 dun. Green. There we go. Okay. Thank you, Mary. So now I'm in control. It's so ironic because I'm going to talk about control in a moment. So isn't it funny how the universe kicks you right in the posterior when you want to talk about something? So I want to talk today a little bit with you about the concept of Father's Day and what actually being a father means. Now we'll go to the next slide. There's something, oh, it's the mic code. I've had a lot of green tea, just so you know. So just be prepared. Peter DiVincenzo knows. We had a conversation when I walked in about making up 8 minutes on my route out here this morning as per made it here 8 minutes faster. So what is the definition of a father? So the full definition of a father, when I researched it this morning, is a man who has begotten a child, also to sire. It's also known as God. So father is known in many traditional religions as God, and we, in our teaching, look at God in a different light, in that father that exists out there as the power, we have equally within us as well, which means that it is the highest in the hierarchical aspect of the Trinity. And then we also, the definition of a father is one who is related to another in a way suggesting that of a father to a child. A parental aspect, of course, is what we're talking about. So if we know in our society and in many societies, and certainly in the society of Malawi and developing countries, the father plays a very distinct role. And in the Western society, I know that it plays a distinct role both in the physical sense of life, how the father shows up, and the philosophy and the expectation around that has changed dramatically in the last 25 to 30 years. Remember the television show Father Knows Best? You don't really see that so much anymore. But also in the work that I do with teenagers, I found out that when the father isn't present, there is a great role that's being played. It's that vacancy or that absence, if you will, in a teenager's life when there isn't that parental unit that has an impact. So today I want us to really just take a look at what the concept of fathering looks like, not necessarily so much from the physical act of being there in one's life, but what role do we play in the spiritual process of fathering that which we want to experience in life. Now, as the first aspect of this definition says, is that a father is a man who has begotten a child. Well, what the hell does begotten mean, right? Well, I figured you guys must know because you didn't laugh to that. So I looked up the word begot. So the begot is the simple past tense or a past participle of the word baguette. Well, what's a baguette? Well, it's something you spread butter and jam on, right? Occasionally. Well, beget is a verb used with an object from begot, of the archaic begot, begotten, or begetting. What it means is especially of a male parent to procreate or generate offspring. So today I want us to really look at that concept. Oh, by the way, hello dudes on the retreat and everyone else out there in the internet world. Where is the camera? You dudes, I'm missing you guys, but I know you're having fun. And they're having fun, right? They're spiritually growing, they're having fun, and probably they're missing me more than I'm missing them. But I'm just going to let that sit there for a second. I would have begotten really good pancakes for them if they were there, but they probably have it. So the word beget also means to cause, produce as an effect, or a belief that power begets power. And that's one of the things I really want to look at today, is that how does power beget power from a spiritual perspective in life? But also, how does one begotten a child? Well, what does begotten a child mean? Isn't that a cute little baby? It's moi. Yeah, really. Who said really? You can't tell from this portion right here? And the smile and the little sailor suit. So, should say so much for how the future was to come, a little sailor suit, but that's a workshop on Friday night. All right, so what does begotten a child mean, or begotten an idea or a desired manifestation? Well, it means to sire, which means to, in essence, plant a seed. To have, when we have in life, how do you have a child? It's that parental aspect of both physically participating in the developmental aspect of what gives birth, but it's also when one makes a conscious decision in their life that they want to be present in a child's life, no matter what that child's age is, or it's to bring into the world bring a being into the world, and it also means to give life to and to spawn. So are you aware in your life where you have sired or spawned or given life to something that is an offspring of your consciousness? Well, I'm sure many of us are, correct? Say yes. Yes, many of us are. And the question that I have for us today, and the challenge that I have for us today, is not only are we aware of that which we have given life to in our life, but where in our life are we looking to give life to something anew? Where in our life are we wanting to take our consciousness and place it in the direction so that the offspring in life, the creative process, brings back to us that which is equal to our consciousness? Are we aware of what it is in life that we want to spawn? Well, in essence, what we're really talking about is propagating life. That's the whole reason to participate in the creative process. So if we're to propagate life, let's look at what the qualities of life as we know it in a spiritual sense are. Some of them are power, beauty, joy, life, light, and love. So I ask you today, are these qualities, which are the qualities of God, that you desire to have more of in your life? Think about them for a second. And I know I talked about them the last time I was here, and it's something that I've become really aware of in my life, is that if I consciously understand the way that life is propagated from life, that it's my responsibility to live from a place of power, beauty, joy, life, light, and love, should I desire to live in a field of experience that is power, beauty, joy, life, light, and love. Sounds like a great way to live life, huh? And sometimes it's wonderful and easy. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not, as I was sharing with Peter this morning when I came flying down 118, well, first the 405 and then the 118, and there was this particular vehicle that wouldn't move. It kept staying in the left-hand lane, driving slower than it should be driving, right? And then it got upset with me when I came up behind it. I didn't blow my horn, but it decided, the individuals in the car, not the car itself deciding, that their most appropriate, effective reaction was all four of them to give me the bird several times, right? So I kept asking myself, where, with the third finger for both hands, even the driver, he didn't have both hands out, all others did. I thought, where in this process am I experiencing power, beauty, joy, light, life, love? So I got really close to and realized one had a great manicure. So that was beauty, right? No, I'm just kidding. But what I realized in that moment was that I didn't really have the opportunity to change that experience that was taking place. Those individuals were choosing to flip me off, right? Now, did I do something to propagate that experience? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe they just are having a rough morning, you know? Maybe they decided when they got in the car they were just going to use the bird for a long time that morning. But what I do know, that I have the power in my life which gives me great beauty and joy in knowing is that there is no experience in my life that can dictate how I choose to move forward in life. And so hallelujah. So what I realized out of that was I get to look at life differently and ultimately then participate in the creation of a life that looks differently. And if that's true for me, it's true for you too, Andy Howe.
I believe that.
Good. And it's true for each and every one of you and all of you online. It's true for all of us as humanity. But on this Father's Day, I want us to really look at one of the great ways, certainly in my life, and I'm assuming that exists for many of your lives, that brings you peace, power, beauty, light, life, love, and joy. And it's this young man for me. This is a young man, many of you know him. He grew up here in the Simi Valley Center. Many of you may not. His name is Kenny Borchard. And many years ago at camp, he asked me if I could be his papa, if I could be his father. And he didn't have a father figure in his life at the time. And I said yes. And I didn't really know what I was saying yes to. I just thought it was a great concept to be able to play that role of father, even though earlier in my life I had made the decision that I wanted to have physical offspring, children. That didn't work out the way that I wanted it to, and yet the universe didn't forget that that was my desire. And so this young man came into my life at 15 years old. He's now 25. So I've had the great pleasure to play this role as a papa, that's what he calls me, for 10 years. And from that, I've got to experience joy in a way that I didn't really know was possible in my heart. And what that meant for me was I had to learn how to unconditionally love him, because when I chose to conditionally love him, it was really difficult for me. Meaning that he didn't act the way I wanted him to. It really sucked sometimes, right? But once I realized that my responsibility was to love him unconditionally, then that which I would draw into my field of experience by means of him expressing who he is more and more of life, power, peace, beauty, joy, all of that, propagating itself through him. And that is an example for all of us in life, that should we choose to allow some external experience in our life that's a reflection of the divine to be an example for us, then it can remind us that life is here for us. That life is not here to be against us. Life, the gift of life itself, as it is here for us to have more and more and more and more of that. And by doing so, then we can look at those qualities of God that exist among all of us and see where we can play with that and experience more and express more. Because we only get to experience more by choosing to express more. And so in watching the life of Kenny as he's grown into the young man that he's become, I've watched him become an incredibly powerful, independent young man. And that independence oftentimes is really trying. I say to him all times, you are so independent that it's going to bite you in the butt sometimes, because he can't ask for help. And that's been hard for me for the last few years. And now I'm realizing and watching as that's taking a shift, that's his journey. This is the journey he needs to be on. It's not about my journey for him. It's about him being on his own journey. And so what that brings me to, and I've learned, is that as a father, one must surrender. Now, I speak of father today. I'm not speaking of those of the male species. I'm speaking to those of us who consciously choose to plant our seeds into the laws of creation in life. Once we plant that seed into life, we must surrender to what? Well, we must surrender to life itself. We must surrender to the nature of the universe. We must surrender into truly that which is the unknown, yet oh so known. Know what I mean by that? The unknown, that we don't know what's taking place out in the ethers of creation. However, what we do know is that creation is taking place. Think about that for a second. What we don't know is how creation does what it does, or why it does what it does. But what we're really, 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 really clear on, should we accept the clarity, is that it takes place. If it didn't, not one of your butts would be in the seat. Whether you know you're an out picturing of a seed planted or not. But you are. And so we have this example in our everyday life that creation takes place. And we know not how or why, but it does. Surrendering to the nature of life. This is the process whereby we experience the greatest of the nature of life. That's a beautiful quote, isn't it? Let me read it to you again. This is the process whereby we experience the greatest of the nature of life. It's by someone whose initials KC. Who is it? Me, I know, right? Good. Just playing with you to see if you're present. So what we must understand then in life is that we need to be open to the way that the creation works, while not being attached to expectations. How many of us move through life planting that seed into the creation of life with very high expectations of what it's going to look like? How many of you are going through that right now in your life and in any way whatsoever? I know I certainly have that. Yeah, raise your hand. Hallelujah. We all have that. And why is that? Because we're human. As being human, we move forward in life thinking that we know what's best. And not only that, we're taught in this teaching oftentimes that everything is possible, right? How many of you guys have heard that in this teaching before? Everything is possible. It's not. It's not. Just so you're clear, it's not. However, everything is possible within the realm of possibility. This teacher that I worked with many years ago, Fred Wilson, and I truly believe he's a modern-day Ernest Holmes, and he talks about how what we must understand in life is that everything is possible within the realm of possibility. And that does mean that things may show up as a process of prayer, of intention, of consciously using the laws, of being open through surrender that might blow our minds. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, there are things that we as humans cannot do. We can't create a planet. Can you? I can't. Who shook their head? Yes, they could. I want one. Name it after me too, once it's there. But I can't create a planet. I can't make the earth revolve around the sun. I can't even make a seed become a tree. Now I know that all of those things are possible, but I can't do it. If I can't do it, then how does it get done? Well, it only happens because of the co-creative process. So what we must understand is we're part of that co-creative process, but there are certain things that we, as part of the co-creative process, cannot do, and certain things that we can do. What we can do is move through life being aware of what is possible, and also aware of the probabilities of what's impossible. Now, I have a list to you of sharing things that are probably impossibilities in our life. And it's akin to David Letterman. May he move on to wherever he's going in TV land. Akin to his top 10 list. Some of these, Peter DiVincenzo, are just for you. It's the top 10 things you'll never hear a dad say. You ready? Well, you didn't answer, so I'm going to drink water. Are you ready? Yes. Okay, number 10. Well, how about that? I'm lost. Looks like we'll have to stop and ask for directions. Gets better, number 9. Well, you know, Pumpkin, now that you're 13, you'll be ready for unchaperoned car days. Won't that be fun? Number 8. I noticed that all your friends have a certain up-yours attitude. I kind of like that. Number 7. Here's a credit card and the keys to my brand new car. Go have fun. Number 6. What do you mean you want to play football? Figure skating is not good enough for you, son? Come on, I deserve the laugh for that one, if nothing else. Number 5, your mother and I are going away for the weekend. You might want to consider throwing a big-ass party. Number 4, ladies, I think you'll like this, not that I'm being sexist. Well, I don't know what's wrong with your car. Probably one of those doohickey thingies, you know, that makes it run or something. Just have it towed to mechanic and I'll pay whatever they ask. Number 3, this is a very modern day world. No son of mine is going to live under this roof without piercings and tattoos. Now quit your belly aching and let's go to the mall. And number 2, what do you want to go and get a job for? I make plenty of money for you to spend. And number 1, Father's Day, don't worry about that. It's no big deal for me. Now, that's not for me. Well, it is. I had a little moment about that this morning, but anyway. But I wanted to share those with you this morning because so often in life we do have this preconceived idea of what we want the outcome to look like, right? And we really have this idea that it's going to look the way that we think and it's never going to look different. And that we want to get attached to what our history looks like. But the truth is that for us to move forward in life, we must do, according to this quote, we must maximize that which the divine has to offer. We must plant the seed into the law of creation and have faith a higher idea is always unfolding. Control is delusional. Control is delusional. Did you guys see where that quote came from? Where did it come from? Johnny Appleseed's cousin. It's funny when I don't know. It's just when I pulled that quote up and on this particular PowerPoint process through Apple, it throws a name in and it picks random names and it picks Johnny Appleseed. So I just put cousin in there to see if you guys were paying attention. And you are. The question is, how do you maneuver your life from the perspective of control? Do you live in the state of delusion that you are controlling every aspect of your life? Or are you willing to move forward in a place of faith where you know that the higher idea is always unfolding? Now, that is a really ideal process in life. To truly move from that place where a higher idea is always unfolding. I see Brad in the audience. I just ran into him on a plane the other day. And I can tell you, for me, oftentimes where I have a hard time believing that a higher and a divine idea is unfolding is boarding and getting off an airplane, certainly Southwest. And yet that's the, right? And yet that's the perfect place in life to put the philosophy of the science of mind in play. To just really step back and wonder, is there a higher divine idea unfolding here? Is there something that's a greater concept than I can wrap my head around right now happening? Now, for me, the other day when I did that, I was like, what the, right? Boarding a plane. And then I look up, and this handsome gentleman's in front of me. And we had a great conversation about CSL Simi Valley, and it was just a really great interaction. And what that said for me and showed me is that if I can get out of my own way in life, oftentimes something greater is showing up. That something that's going to come forth in my life that brings me more peace and power and beauty and joy and light in life. However, what I must be willing to do is to plant a new seed of expectation. And what that expectation must be, should I want to live life consciously in alignment with those qualities of God, is an expectation that what's coming forth for me and you is that higher idea. That it's not the idea that the human monkey brain Keith wants, it's that higher idea. So how do we do that? How do we move into planting that seed of creation? That seed of expectation? We do it by using the law of creation, which is stated as this. The law of creation states that within mind is the creator, which is responsible for everything. That's the other side of that co-creative process. Below, you'll find some basic understandings of the implications of the law of creation. 1, structuring your mind in a certain way allows you to create. Well, how is that? By surrendering to a higher idea, by consciously affirming that the universe is here to support you, by believing that God, that power that is within us and outside of us, is an unfailing power. To know at all times that we're protected and that we're supported, and then knowing that if we've done our work through meditation and prayer and affirmation and raising the vibrational field of who we are as spiritual beings, that what must come our way is a reflection of that. The second thing is to know that humans are creators when they take charge of their inner mental and physical resources and apply it towards a goal. So what does that mean by internal, mental, and physical resources? Well, inner resources, we know it's our mind, it's our soul, our heart, it's our being. The outside, the physical piece, what is that? It's by not being the person flipping off the car next to you. That's controlling your physical, right? It's by being kind with your tongue. It's by, and that doesn't mean just in a romantic way. It means by what you say, right? It's truly, truly, truly being conscious of how you emit your divinity. And the third part is to understand that manifestation and progression is the only end result which can happen, because by taking charge of these resources is using the power which creates. Now that might lead one to think that you're in control. And all it's saying is that you're in control of taking charge of the resources that are at your disposal. Well, what are those? The way that you think, the way that you act, the way that you speak, the way that you react, the way that you interact. That's our responsibility in the co-creative process. And then to let go and to let God. Is that easy? No. Sometimes it's really, really, really hard to do. However, what we have imbued within us is the intelligence of the divine. And if we but listen to it, it will guide us where we want to go. I want to share a little story quickly about someone using the intelligence of the divine, and it's this. There was a grade school teacher that was asking their students what their parents did for a living. She said, "Timmy, you be first." And she said, and she goes, "So Timmy, what does your mother do all day?" And Timmy stood up and proudly said, "She's a doctor." "Wonderful." She moved on to the next student. "How about you, Amy?" Amy shyly stood up, scuffed her feet, and said, "My father is a mailman." "Thank you, Amy," said the teacher. "What about your father, Billy?" Billy proudly stood up and announced, "My daddy murders people, steals from them, and drinks a lot of booze." The teacher was aghast, of course, and promptly changed the subject to geography. Later that day, she went to Billy's house and rang the bell. Billy's father answered the door. The teacher explained what his son had said and asked if there might be some logical explanation. Billy's father looked at her and said, "Well, actually, I'm an attorney, but how do you explain that to a 7-year-old?" Now, this father understood the realm of possibility. He understood that more than likely a 7-year-old wouldn't understand that. I hope I didn't offend any attorneys in here, and God knows we all need them occasionally, right? But I use that as an example, obviously, a tongue-in-cheek example, that we all must understand what's happening within the realm of possibility. And what we need to do if we want to move forward in life and attract more and more of the greatness that exists in our life is to choose to look at life as it's serving us. I ask you today on this Father's Day, what are you, CSL Simi Valley, willing to surrender to and step into the realm of possibility in your life as a congregation for making this really momentous decision for the person that you're about to select to be your spiritual leader? You've had 2 really, really, really wonderful spiritual leaders in the past, right? Are you holding them up as the epitome in how you choose this next individual? Or are you willing to surrender that both of those served you in a way that they've allowed you to position yourself in a way that which you're attracting into your world can be something that is going to take CSL Simi Valley to a pinnacle unlike anything you've ever seen before? That these individuals, whichever one you choose, I know I have my preference, but whichever one you choose is the individual that can help put you on the map in Simi Valley and beyond in a modern, progressive, compassionate, loving, intelligent, humorous, impersonal way. Is that what you want? Sure, that's what you want. You don't have to answer it. Is that what you want? I know that's what you want because you guys are a conscious collective group of people and you understand the philosophy of this teaching. But I ask you, are you hanging on to anything from the past that's not serving you? One of my metaphorical teachers is Nelson Mandela. I did my thesis on him for my ministerial studies of how Nelson Mandela chose to live his life is truly in alignment with the teachings of metaphysics. And he says, as he walked out the door of that prison, that he walked towards the gate. He said, as I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison. Now, I'm not saying any of you are holding hatred or bitterness, but I am asking you and challenging you today, what is it that you're holding on to? What is it you are holding on to that may be preventing you from entering into this new phase that is known as Centers for Spiritual Living, Simi Valley, in a way that's going to catapult you into a manner which not only are all the seats in here full, but potentially you have 2 services on Sunday, that you've got more than 25 or 30 people watching online, and then all of a sudden you guys become the touchstone for metaphysics in the valley. Wouldn't that be fantastic? That you're burgeoning at the seams, that you have a rainbow of colors of individuals that are here on live, that you all express diversity in a way that's never happened in this valley before. It's all up to you if you choose to live from a place of faith that your decision is right and the universe is here to support you. Our philosopher and our teacher, Ernest Holmes, wrote this about faith. He said, "Fear not, little flock. It's your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Fear is the great enemy of man, but fear is a mental attitude and as such can be converted into something else. Fear is the reverse mental attitude towards faith and is a result of the lack of faith. Today is your opportunity to choose faith and to know that through faith and always by you having faith that something better awaits you. Something better awaits you. Your responsibility on this wonderful Father's Day is to not look at the gift that you've received, it's to look forward as to the gift you can give. If you look at this father, what he received was a necktie cookie. Practical? No. Creative? Yes. How would you react if you received a necktie cookie? Especially if you were gluten-free, right? So, what's important for you today, and my challenge for you, is to release yourself from what was. Be open to that which is shown up for you and ask yourself, what gift can you give yourself and your community as you move forward? Allow the universe to support you by your choosing a new idea, by your choosing to surrender to the process, by your choosing to believe that amazing things are happening, by choosing to believe that today and every day forward is the day that you get to experience more and more and more and more of that which we know as God. But the only way you get to do that is by giving the gift to yourself more and more and more that you already are that power, that peace exists within you, that the power to make a choice is there should you engage it, that beauty is all around us in life, and the most important place to see beauty is when you look into the mirror. And from there, you'll see that the very precious gift of life itself is there. And as you look into that mirror, what you can see is the light of God through your eyes. And hopefully what that brings to you more than anything else in life is the love that the power of God has for you and the joy that exists just inherently within us because life itself is yours for the living. Have a magnificent day. It's so much fun to be here with you. I love sharing this energy back and forth, and I know that Centers for Spiritual Living Simi Valley is getting ready to rock this world. Namaste.
Jackie.